It's not a maybe, it's an I know. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we are going to be talking about how to know that your desire is yours, that it is done, how to decide and know. This is a comment that I had someone asking about this. I've actually had a few people ask about this. How do you just know that your desire is yours? How do you know that it's done and you just trust that? So that's exactly what we're going to talk about in this video. As always, please comment, like, and subscribe if you enjoy my content. I really appreciate it. Everyone who's subscribed so far, it's really helping the channel to grow, so thank you so much for that. Anyways, so we're gonna get right into this. So the first thing that we have to understand, and the thing that I say in many of my videos, is that imagination creates reality. Imagination actually is reality. So when you look at this outer world, we always give it credit because it's physical, because we can touch it, because we can feel it, it feels real. But imagination we think of as fantasy, as something that is just, it can't be real because we can't touch it, we can't feel it, like it's not quite the same. Although technically we can when we visualize. If you're good at visualizing, we can touch things, we can feel things, we can smell things. So it's really not that far off from this physical world that we're living in right now. And the reason that it's not far off is because it quite literally is one and the same. It is the same level of realness as anything that you see out here. What you're seeing out here right now in front of you is simply the manifested portion of your imagination. It is the part of imagination that you have selected to experience right now in this moment. Whether that was on purpose or not, you selected it subconsciously, consciously, and that is what you're experiencing. But you have to think of this reality as something like watching Netflix, okay? Think of when you go onto Netflix and you're looking for something to watch, you pick one thing to watch, and you can only pick one thing to watch at a time. You can't watch all the movies at once, right? So you go and you select the one that you want and you start watching that one. But just because you're watching that show or that movie, it doesn't mean that all the other movies don't exist anymore, right? They're still there. You can still go back and select them. It's just you're currently watching the one that you chose, right? So at any point in time, if you want to select a different one, that's what you go and do. You go back to the home screen and you select a different one. So the same thing works with your mind. You're currently watching the movie that you've already selected. You're living the life that you currently selected at a previous time. But at any moment, you can go into your imagination and you can select something new. And that's why when I say imagination is the same realness as reality, it's because it is reality, you just haven't selected to play it at this time. So at any time, what's in imagination could become just as physical as what's out here. You could bring it into your physical world. So you're literally just looking in imagination at all the different options that you get to choose from. You choose an option, and once you've chosen that option, you continue to choose that option, and then eventually it will be the one that plays out on your screen here. So it's just as real. Imagination is reality, it's just not manifested. It's just all the things that you haven't manifested. You can select whatever you want and then experience it in this world. That's just how it works. So when you are going into imagination, you're affirming for something or you're visualizing something, don't think of it as like, I'm imagining this. This isn't really real, like I'm just gonna imagine it so it actually shows up in the real world eventually. No, what you're seeing in imagination is real. Like, it is completely real, just as real as what you see out here, and you should actually give it more credit than what's out here because it's the thing that you're selecting to watch next, right? So what you're picking in imagination, so-called imagination, is what's gonna be what you experience next out here. It's gonna be the show that you watch next, right? So it's very important to pay attention to what you're selecting in there. And once again, just give imagination more credit. I don't even like to call it imagination because it's not really. It's just one and the same. It's just reality. It's literally reality, but it's just not manifested yet, right? So that's the first step in knowing that you already have everything that you want to manifest, because when you know that this so-called imagination is just unmanifested reality, it kind of changes how you look at everything, and it puts more value on what you have in your mind, because you realize that it's literally the same thing as what you're seeing out here, and you get to decide what you want to see out here by selecting in there. Your imagination is like a picker. It's like you go to select the thing you want, and then you come back into this reality and you experience it. So by knowing this, you can also understand that you have everything you want in imagination just as much as you have everything you have out here. It's just as real. You have it just as much as what you have out here. You have everything. Like all those shows, like I'm talking about on Netflix, you have all those shows available to you at any time. You have all those things you want available to you at any time. It's just a matter of you selecting them and knowing that if you've selected it, it's going to be what plays next. And this is why I say it's not a maybe, it's an I know. When you're manifesting something, it's not this might manifest. If I do this, like it might manifest, it might happen in my life. It's an I know that I already have this thing, I have selected this option, and that is what I'm going to experience, regardless of what I see out here. Because I know out here, it's just what's already playing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because I selected a new show, and that's going to be what comes on next. That's what I've selected. Okay, so you have to stay committed to what you have selected in your mind. You truly have to stay committed. It's a commitment to yourself that no matter what you see out here, no matter what happens in this outer world, you will not be tempted by it, swayed by it, because you know that you already have selected that one thing in your mind. So it doesn't matter what goes on out here. It doesn't matter what's happening out here because you're just watching the old show. You're watching what you already selected. That doesn't matter because you already know what you selected to come on next. So anything that's going on in here, it doesn't matter. As long as you go back to this inner vision of what it is that you want, and you give that more power than anything out here. It's just this knowing, this deep knowing of, I have this thing, I have selected this thing. Once again, think of it like selecting. You've selected this thing, you've chosen that option, and that is what you will experience next. You can even write it down, like I've selected this option. Know that you've selected it. Like there's no other way that anything else can manifest if you believe that you selected that option. It's literally just a fact. Like it's inevitable that that is what you're going to experience in your life if you stay focused, if you stay selected on that one thing. And the way that you can stay focused is by affirming for it. And again, affirming is to remind yourself, I already have this thing. Or you can visualize it in your mind. And remember, when you're visualizing that in your mind, you are seeing reality. You are seeing the real thing. It's not an imaginary made up thing that you're seeing. It's real. It just hasn't manifested into this physical world yet, but by selecting it again and again, that is what you're going to experience. What you give your focus to is what you bring out into this physical world, because your focus is your selecting tool. Okay? So the more you focus on something, the more that you hone in on it. It's like using a laser pointer and you're pointing directly like, I want that one. And that's what's going to manifest, okay? So it's your focus that's the key. That's why it's also really helpful to meditate or clear your mind, or, really just try to hone in on your thoughts on one thing, because the more that your mind is zoned in on it, it's like that beam of light that you're focusing on, it becomes smaller and smaller and smaller and more direct and focused. And that really is all it is. It's focus. Focus is your energy. The more focus you give something, that's going to be the thing that you manifest ultimately. Out of everything that you can do, it's just focus on what you want. You don't have to give attention to any other circumstance, anything going wrong in your life. It doesn't matter, because your focus is what's going to manifest. So if you're focusing on, well, I'm not seeing this result, or I'm not seeing this, then that's what you're going to manifest and not the thing you want. So don't worry about all that other stuff. You just have to focus on where you're trying to go, and that's it. That's literally all you have to do. Another thing you can do if you find it hard to stay focused, or you're constantly wondering when this thing's going to show up, you're worrying about it all the time, I found too that focusing on longer term goals is better. if you can focus on, say, you're trying to earn more money, instead of saying I'm going to earn this much per day, start saying I'm going to earn this much per year. Think of it as a year thing, like a very long-term goal. If you can set it that way, you're going to be less stressed out about what happens every single day, because there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be times when you don't understand why something is happening, but that's part of the process. When you selected something, you will be guided to go where you need to go. Like, you will take the correct actions. In my last video, we talked about this, and some people, I know the way I worded that video, I might redo it eventually, but at the end of the video, I talked about this more. But you are basically guided. When you select something and you focus on that, your subconscious mind is going to lead you in that direction. And any action that you take is the right action. You have to understand that. You have to have faith in yourself that you're going to get there just by taking the action that feels right at that time. As long as you know where you're going, you will be guided there. Like, you just have to know where you're going. There's a quote I always say to myself. I say, you don't have to know how it will happen. You just have to know that it will happen. That is the key to everything. And once again, having long-term goals can help you de-stress, because you don't have to worry, because you know there's going to be ups and downs. So if you have such a long goal, you know that there can be ups and downs in the point of getting there. You don't have to be perfect every single day all the time, right? You just have to know that in the end, you're going to end up with that goal eventually. Another thing you can do too, if this is something that you're trying to manifest a specific person, have a longer term goal with them. Imagine marriage with them. Imagine like 10 years into your marriage with them or something. How do you want that to look? Or just a very long-term goal with this person. Set it like very far out so that you're not stressing about every little thing. Like, don't try to manifest a text from a person. I mean, you can do that. I've tried to do that before. I've done it successfully, but it's going to stress you out a little bit more than if you were to make that goal much longer term and you were to just focus on that rather than all the other stuff. Because I'm telling you, all the other stuff will come to you if you focus on the longer term goal. All the little things are just part of that longer term goal, right? Like, they make up that goal. So you will also experience all that other stuff that you want to experience too. So that's why focusing on longer term things could just be so helpful. If you're someone that just constantly is checking, seeing that your numbers are not going up, or seeing that someone hasn't texted you, whatever it is, if that's what you're doing all the time, you probably should pick a longer term goal to help yourself sort of de-stress a bit and relax into knowing that this will work out. It's already done, you know. You don't have to stress about every little change and every little up and down. And that's the other thing. When you have a knowing that something is yours, you don't stress about that stuff anymore. Like, I don't stress if I have a day where I have less sales in my store or something, because I know that eventually I'm going to have a really good day again. Eventually it's going to pick up again. There's a reason for everything. In nature, in general, in life, there's always ups and downs. The ocean pulls back and it goes forward. Like, there's waves, right? It goes up and down. And if you think about it, like the weather, the seasons change. There's rain some days, there's sun some days. That's just the way that nature is. That's the way everything is. So there has to be ups and downs. There's always duality. There's light and dark, you know, good and bad. We just had an eclipse, right? There's the moon and the sun, divine masculine, divine feminine energy, as I always talk about, where you're putting in energy, and then when you're in a receiving energy, there's always an opposite to things. So know that to be on the right path does not mean having every day be perfect and having every day everything goes well exactly how you think it will. Because if you think that way, you're never going to end up reaching where you want to go, because there's always going to be ups and downs, and that's normal, and it's okay to have that, because the universe knows how to get you where you need to go. Your higher self knows how to get you where you need to go. You don't have to, and you won't understand it. It won't make sense to you. And if you try to understand it, you're just going to make yourself angry, confuse yourself. You're going to get mad at what you're seeing because it's not going to make sense. So don't try to comprehend it. Just have this knowing, once again, that you know where you're going. That's literally all you have to do, is be like, I know where I'm going. That's it. The universe does the rest. Everything else, it gets sorted for you. That's how simple it is. Like, you really only have to focus on the end goal. Your higher self does like everything else. So stop stressing about the little stuff, or trying to understand everything, or do everything this right way, and I have to affirm this way and visualize this way. Like, stop stressing and just be calm and focus on where you want to go. And that's the other thing too, being calm and focusing, that's like the key, is just being in a relaxed, calm energy, focusing on where you want to go, not stressing. If you're doing everything right, if you're in the right mindset all the time, or if you're perfect all the time, it doesn't really matter. As long as majority of the time you're selecting that reality that you want, you're consciously selecting it, you know, you're either affirming for it, you're visualizing it, or you're just having this inner knowing of that's where I'm headed, then you're gonna get there. Okay, so anyways, I hope this video was helpful to you guys. Let me know, leave a comment, like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one, right?